The United Arab Emirates, whether it is for business or for pleasure, it can definitely be a memorable and enriching experience. It is important for you to listen to me today because we're all business students, and someday I hope that all of us will be successful businessmen and women in the industry, and we may be asked to travel to the United Arab Emirates or any other country to do business. Since we were talking about the United Arab Emirates today, it's important to learn the business practices and communication that goes on in this great country. I'm incredible to speak to you today because I've done extensive research on the United Arab Emirates. I have a father who worked in the Middle East, and he brought so much of the knowledge upon me about the business cultures, and I'm also part Middle Eastern, so I connect with the culture. The important business practices that we are going to be looking at today are the business etiquette, the social etiquette, how presentations, meetings, and negotiations should be conducted. First, let's take a look at the business etiquette in the United Arab Emirates. It is important to have business cards ready to hand out, and it's important to treat the business cards with respect, and there should be 2 languages on the card. 2 languages on the card shows respect for the culture because even though English is a language that is spoken very well in the UAE, the people often forget that the United Arab Emirates is an Arabic country, so the language should be in Arabic as well on the cards because it shows respect for the culture. It is also important to remember how hospitable the Arab people are. Hospitality is very important to the Emirati and Arabs, so during meetings you can expect a lot of refreshments. You should at least accept 1 cup. If you don't accept it, it is considered rude. When refusing another cup, you should gently waggle the cup between the thumb and forefinger to indicate that you've had enough. It is also important to remember that coffee is offered to guests and ordered according to ranks. You should never drink more than your host. You should always be respectful and just drink as much as everyone else is drinking. It is also important about your status and face in the country. Face and status are very important in business as well as social situations. Precedence is always shown for people with seniority in age, and visitors should always take note of this. It is important to allow the senior person in any situation to take the leading role. It is also important to allow an older person or more senior person to, let's say if you were to hold a door for them, for example, you should allow them to go first to show respect and honor their status and title. It is also important to dress very properly for the job that you have. Both men and women should dress properly. You should dress for the job you want. It's a saying that we say a lot in America. It's a saying that the Arab people take to heart. A standard outfit for a man is a business suit and tie. A suit and tie is basically worn to any event, a business party, an evening event. Any event should have a suit and tie. It's like Justin Timberlake's song, Suit and Tie. As long as you have your suit and tie, you can do anything. Women should wear loose-fitting garments like dress or loose-fitting trousers. Women should not wear any revealing clothing. So I just spoke to you on the business etiquette that takes place in the United Arab Emirates. Let's move on to the social etiquette. Basically, the social etiquette of business in the United Arab Emirates is very different to what we are used to in America. Greetings vary and several styles are used in the United Arab Emirates. It is important to usually wait for the Emirati counterpart to initiate the greeting. So if you're standing face to face with them, usually you should let them wait to shake your hand or hug you or any other greeting they might do with you. It is so traditionally the Emirati greeting between men is grasping the other's right hand, and you place the left hand on the other's right shoulder. Men will even exchange kisses on the cheek and even touch noses and walk hand in hand. This is very different to what we're used to in America. We're just used to a firm handshake when introducing ourselves to another individual. United Arab Emirates are very hospitable people, so they go the extra bounds to make the greeting special between the client and themselves. It is also important to remember that the same Emirati women will not shake hands with foreign men or women. Using the left hand is considered unclean, so it's not recommended to use the left hand when shaking one's hand. When speaking with an individual, you should approximately be 1.5 feet apart. 1 to 1.5 feet apart. In America, we are very used to, people not being in our personal space. We want our space when we're talking with an individual. But the Emiratis are used to staying close and talking, so you should always stay in place. If you back up, it is offensive and insulting. And it's very important not to do that, to be insulting, because they're very hospitable and chatting close together is normal. And being insulting and rude can hurt your networking and your business relationship with them in the future. So I just spoke to you on what the business and social etiquettes are. Let's move on to this presentations, meetings, and negotiations. Meetings, presentations, and negotiations are very important in any business environment. As I stated over here, it is important to be respectful and prudent about the use of visual symbols during a presentation and to be sensitive to the views and beliefs of other people. In the Islamic thought, it is considered inappropriate to portray people in any way. It is considered inappropriate to portray animals and people in a wrong way because the Islamic view, they're very big on their religion, and they believe that everyone is created by God, so you have to respect people and animals. Animals and anthropomorphic versions of inanimate objects can also cause offense. A graph or suggestion of men and women appearing the same physical space should be not conducted. It should be eliminated, to say, because they are very sensitive about men and women appearing the same ad. Like a sexual ad may be working in America or any other European country, but it doesn't work in the United Arab Emirates. It's also important to be careful when you portray people from the UAE. It's important to also be very careful when portraying their neighbors. Their language, the Arabic language, should be portrayed very carefully, and so should their iconography, their religious iconography. Meetings are an important part of the United Arab culture. The meetings are really social because they involve the serving of tea and coffee and other refreshments. Small talk is very important to build trust during the meeting, so it's important not to rush straight to the business talks. A small talk example would be asking one how he's doing, how his health is, how his well-being is. You should never ask them how their wife, their daughter, or female relatives are. They take very big offense to that. It's important to, during a meeting, people may come in and out of the meeting room. They're not going to be necessarily related to the business. It's common, and as a visitor, we should pause and wait for the person that comes in to stop talking, and then we should allow our conversations to take place. We should always set our objectives in the meeting after the small talk is done and focus on what we want to get accomplished when speaking with our clients in the United Arab Emirates. Another important part of presentations and meeting is negotiations. Negotiations are a skill that Emiratis pride themselves on. And the reason, and for that, with that being said, they pride themselves on that is because they're known as the king of negotiations, because the Emirates were originally a trading outpost, and some Emirates have great negotiation skills. Negotiation really depends on finding commodities and affiliates as a means of assessing trustworthiness. You basically have to find someone who's trustworthy and who has the same interests as you business-wise. As Emirates were original trading outposts, Emiratis have used multiple tactics over the years to get their way, so you should learn the skill of negotiating. Emiratis may ask a discounted unit price for a product if they order a large quantity. If you say you can provide your product at a lower price, they will generally want that for that price. So to keep your Emiratis' pride and trust intact, right, you have to keep their pride, trust intact. You need to make sure that you should be prepared to sacrifice part of your deal to keep the relationship intact, because it's important to have a good network of people you can trust. And you might have to sacrifice some money, but it's good in the long run because you have a great business partner. Today we looked at the business etiquette, social etiquette, and the style of presentations, meetings, and negotiations. Let's wrap it up. The business practice of the United Arab Emirates are very unique, and this is seen by their business etiquette, social etiquette, and how they conduct their presentations, meetings, and their negotiations. Learning the business practices of a country like the United Arab Emirates can help you to deepen your knowledge on their business practices. And if you're ever asked to go there to learn, if you're ever asked to go there, you should learn as much as you can, because knowledge is power, and it will come as respectful if you know their culture, and you will know about their business practices before. It will help you to be more productive and useful to your employer, and maybe possibly your future country of employment.